Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all, or good morning. This is the headline of world news. This is the headline of international news. Russia has just been the victim of a massive attack, a true organized provocation, orchestrated and executed by Volodymyr Zelensky's Ukraine. While Russia has given the order to cease fire immediately, Monitio, after the exchanges that took place between President Vladimir Zelensky and President Volodymyr Zelensky, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump a few hours ago, so several, I believe I'm not mistaken, while Russia has given the order to stop air attacks, in any case to cease hostilities in the air. Meanwhile, Ukraine is in a festival of rapes or violations and ceasefire. Even if, concretely, the document has not yet been signed, but the goodwill is already there. Russia has given its agreement. Putin called on the phone. He gave firm instructions to his commanders. And to demonstrate his good faith, Putin organized the exchange of prisoners. All this is to show Russia's good faith, while waiting for the agreement to be signed. So, it is during this time that Volodymyr Zelensky is speeding up the pace. On the European Council, of course, the Ukrainian army is digging in further, believing it to be clever, since the image is unbearable. It is a Russian military airbase that was attacked. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, it is not only this military airbase. There are several other Russian cities that have been subjected to massive drone attacks. And so, in the context of this video conference, that is of course what we are going to discuss. But before continuing, I ask you to share this video conference as much as possible. Share it in all possible groups. Give it lots of likes. There you go. Don't forget to always leave comments. And so, according to official information, during the night, the Russian air defense shot down 132 Ukrainian drones in the following regions. Russia shot down 54 drones in Saratov. It should be noted that it is in Saratov where there is a Russian air base that was attacked, which unfortunately caught fire because there was an oil depot nearby. 40 drones were destroyed in Voronezh. 22 drones were destroyed in Belgorod. 9 in Rostov. 3 in Kursk, 3 in Crimea, and 1 in Lipetsk. There you go. And so, restrictions have been introduced at the airports of Samara and Saratov. In the Saratov region, the FO, which is an elite unit of Ukraine, the UAF, the Ukrainian Armed Forces, attempted to attack the oil refinery in Angels, a video of which is already available on social media. The video went viral. So, at least one Ukrainian kamikaze drone hit the Angels 2 airbase. This is the image we see everywhere. I refrained from putting the image here, as it is unbearable and the algorithm might penalize us for it. So, that's where you see the smoke rising in the shape of mushrooms, visible from 9 kilometers away. That is to say, for more than 9 kilometers, you can see the smoke in the sky. The strike was that strong. And so, this base, which was hit, houses part of the Russian strategic bomber fleet. This is where it becomes very serious. The base that was hit houses part of the Russian strategic bomber fleets. The mushroom-shaped cloud indicates that an ammunition storage area was hit. Thus, 3 districts in the Voronezh region were targeted in a repelled attack. You can already see Ukraine is just sinking further. That is to say, it was as if he wanted to deceive Russia's vigilance by saying that a ceasefire should be agreed upon and accepted. Since Russia agreed and Vladimir Putin gave instructions, this is what we are witnessing. So, this leads me to agree with many commentators here who often tell us that Putin should never trust the United States of America or the Westerners. and they haven't even gone far yet. Here is already what is happening. While everyone is focused on the ceasefire, we hope that the ceasefire will happen very soon. For the first time, Vladimir Zelensky sent drones. He struck Russian territory. That was yesterday. We talked about it. When asked, he said no, it was Russia that first started violating the ceasefire. But that part, it's no longer Russia. They have escalated to another level. Even the bases they didn't attack before, they have started attacking them. And the long-range missiles on which Russia swore that if Ukraine used them, Russia's reaction would be very strong and powerful. And these long-range missiles are being used. Since the territories, the areas that have been targeted and hit, if not for these missiles, these areas could not be reached. So, then the situation becomes even more complicated from the moment Russia, in good faith, decided to give, that is, Putin decided to give the order to his military to stop the air attacks, the bitter attacks. And it is from there that Ukraine is trying to reveal its true face. Let's go a little further. So, the Rostov region. Drones were shot down in the Tarasov and Milirov districts. The Ukrainian armed forces fired 32 shells on the DPR and injured at least 12 civilians in Gorlovka. The Ukrainian armed forces struck the Kavkazskaya oil transshipment point in the Krasnodar region. So all of this is happening in the Russian regions. That is to say, they are really attacking seriously. The Russian region, the Russian regions. And we wonder, what is the idea behind this? Does Ukraine still want to continue this to allow Ukraine to have a position of strength at the negotiating table? This is one of the big questions being raised. Will this help ease the tensions? But what does Russia say about all of this? Will this push Russia to reconsider, to change its position, to renounce or cease fire, and to want to continue since Russia already has a position of strength on the ground? And on the other hand, if the Ukrainians have been able to achieve this, it's because the Americans have resumed sharing intelligence with Ukraine. So it's as if, once again, it's America that is behind all of this. Because the data that allowed them to reach their target, if not for the help of NATO or America, they couldn't have. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the headline news. Please share it as much as possible. I will be back with you shortly. With more news, this was the voice of your one and only samurai.